All right, guys, we are back, and I want to talk a little bit more about this Adrien the Problem Broner and Blair the Flair Cobbs fight last night. Basically, the fallout that's happening now. Uh, if you didn't know, Blair Cobbs was successful last night, defeating Adrien Broner by unanimous decision. And it was a big win for him. You know, Adrien Broner, say what you want about him. He's a 4 division champion. He was a hell of a fighter in his heyday. He doesn't look the part like he did back then. But like I said, he was a big name. He is a 4 division champion. So I think we should congratulate Blair Cobbs and give him his props. I know a lot of people don't want to do that. They say he's a nobody. But, you got to start somewhere. And I think he made a statement last night by defeating Adrien Broner. Now, Adrien Broner, he begs to differ. He believes that he won the fight. And I did see the footage on ES News. I'm looking at it right now. Ellie Setback's channel. Shout out to Ellie Setback. Him walking, huffing and puffing, going back to his dressing room, saying that he won the fight. And I just got to say that Broner is being delusional in this instance. We've seen him do this before. After the Manny Pacquiao fight, he was in the ring talking about how he beat that boy when he clearly lost the fight. And here's the problem. I think a lot of times you have these yes guys around people like Broner, and they won't be real with him. They won't keep it real. They'll feed into his ego. And that's the problem a lot of times. I know that Broner isn't 100% when he trains. We know he has a problem, staying disciplined, drinking, smoking, eating the wrong foods, just, doing things that he shouldn't be doing while he's leading up to a fight, basically. We saw what he looked like in the ring. He looked soft in the ring last night. He looked stiff. He looked old. He just didn't look like the Broner of old. He looked like an old man in the ring last night. We saw that. We saw Blair Cobbs looking poised, strong, athletic. It didn't look like he had been out of the ring for 2 years. Working behind the jab, using footwork, going to Broner's body, going upstairs, downstairs, using head movement. We saw two guys who are basically the same age, but one who looks like he lives a fighter lifestyle, and one we know who doesn't live a fighter lifestyle. So we know why Broner pretty much lost that fight, even though Broner on paper should be, the better fighter. It just didn't look like that last night. And my God, you got dropped in the second round, and he knocked out your tooth last night. But for some reason, you still think you won that fight, and you wouldn't even let your hands go. So how do you think you won that fight? Now, let me say this. I will give Broner his props for having a lot of heart, because I heard he fractured his elbow. I heard he tore his shoulder when Blair the Flair Cobbs dropped him in the second round, because he felt kind of awkward with that hard shot. And, you got to give credit to Blair Cobbs for dropping him. But I do want to give props to Broner for being able to continue the fight. But he pretty much did basically what he's always been doing since the Marcos Maidana fight. Reluctant to throw his hands. He might throw one shot here. He's not using combinations. He's walking you down with a high guard, but he's not throwing any punches. He's standing there to be hit. He's got this guard up, and Blair the Flair Cobbs is shooting right through your guard. You didn't win that fight, and somebody needs to be honest with you and truthful with you and say that you look terrible in that fight. But you have yes people around you, and when those type of people are around you, nobody's going to be real to you. Nobody's going to keep it real. I wish one person would stand up to Broner and say, hey, look, man, you look terrible in that fight last night. You're not dedicating yourself to the sport of boxing. You don't need to be drinking. You don't need to be doing drugs, smoking, doing all the bad vices and think you're going to be, this champion. You're not. Somebody needs to tell him that. Somebody needs to have the heart to tell him the truth. Because as long as people keep feeding into his ego, this is what it's going to be. He's going to believe that he won when he really didn't. He's going to lash out and, act crazy and act immature. And it's getting old. It's getting old. And I think that, your best days are behind you now because you abused your body so much. But you clearly didn't win that fight. You clearly didn't win that fight. Blair Cobbs won that fight. He put in the work. He put in the time, the effort, and he got the W last night. And that's the simple God to honest truth. But anyway, that is my take on it. I hope somebody can pull Broner aside and let him know the real deal. I know deep down he knows, but he'll never admit that to the public. But anyway, you guys let me know what you think about Adrien Broner saying he won the fight last night. Do you believe that? Is he being delusional? Is it too many yes people around him? You guys let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. It's the CMB. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. And I'm out. Peace.